got. So I'll explain it when we get started, which is going to be pretty much right about now. Welcome to Overwatch, and welcome to another episode of Coaching the Minis. Today, we're going to be looking at a Reinhardt VOD, and the Reinhardt VOD isn't the greatest, but again, I'm low on footage, so I'll do it again at the top of the show. I did it last time, but I'll do it again. If you go into my chat, if you're ever curious, how do I get my footage coached? Go into my chat and type exclamation mark coaching, and it'll explain it there. oamreviews@gmail.com. Include the hero name and the rank in the title, plus the description and a YouTube link in the email itself. Some people send me emails saying, hey, help me, coach me, and then there's no link in the actual video in the email, and I'm not psychic. Sometimes I'll be nice and email them back. Sometimes I won't, because, whatever. Yeah. Hi, in about a month or so. Not true. Yesterday's VOD is actually now on YouTube today. I'm getting, it's much easier with the new schedule. For those of you who aren't aware as well, by the way, streams now start at 1900 not GMT, BST at the moment. BST, British time, right? Where we'll generally be starting with a variety stream of some sort. So at the moment we are playing Hollow Knight. And it's been a lot of fun playing different games, and then in the evening we go on to Overwatch. Tomorrow we might be doing a bunch of Overwatch, depends on how I feel about Overwatch, but we will see. And yeah, we will go with that. So streams are starting earlier, and because of that new schedule, like my previous schedule was like, so if this is a day, right? This is a timeline. This is coaching the timeline, by the way. This is like filler content. So I used to get up at about 2 o'clock, and I'd start streaming at about 1600 and go to 2000. Then there'll be 2 hours, and then I'd start stream at 2200, and then I'd finish at 0100. Right? And so what it meant was I had these long periods of stream time, like this, and like this. And you're thinking, well, okay, well that's 4 hours, and this is 3 hours. So that's 7 hours. I work longer than 7 hours. That's crazy talking. Like you got 2 hours here of nothing. The 2 hours here of nothing really flies by. Like I have to cook my dinner, eat my dinner during this time. That generally takes about half an hour, and then there's just like lots of other little things. There's not enough time to actually start doing something. Not enough time to properly do things. And then in this time as well, there's just not enough time to properly do things. And then by the time I hit into the evening, I'm exhausted. And so it was like the reason why the schedule is going is because it's a nightmare to maintain, and because my streaming apparently now works in the afternoon. So now I can stream at high bitrate in the afternoons without problems, which is great. So I can now do a big single chunk, which is a lot easier. Right. Otherwise, yeah, we'll be coaching Reinhardt today. We did a Reinhardt coaching recently. We actually did a bunch of Reinhardt coaching recently. But this one's a little bit lower rank. The VOD quality isn't the greatest, but because I am short on VODs, well, we got to make do with what we got here. So we have like this incredible brightness, incredible color saturation as well. Someone went a bit nuts with the settings. But yeah, right. Reinhardt, very important to understand in current meta, will still probably be important to understand in Season 11, which is coming up soon, so yeah. Would you be interested in some damage footage? I need footage. Like, I don't care what rank you are. Send it in. Send it in. Is the big thing. Let's see. Can't do this anymore soon. Oh, I like the reaction of ooh, it's a Sombra main. 36 hours Sombra. That's generally a good sign when it's on the enemy team. When it says enemy team and they are a Sombra main, you're going, yeah, feels good, man. Otherwise, we'll blast forward, blast forward, blast forward. So, I wouldn't, like, just because this is going away as well, like, your ability to do this, I've never been the biggest fan of, like, going through your team and going, like, oh, well, this is a support player, and, like, just for sake of argument, because I'm not going to go through it again, but, like, saying, oh, well, this is a support player, and this is a support player, and this is a tank player, and this is a tank player, so, like, this is a tank, and, like, tank, and support. And then you look at your team lineup, and this person's picked McCree or Widowmaker or something, and you flip out at them. If they're going to play that, they're going to play that, right? Win or lose, they are going to play that hero. So, like, this person's got, like, a really weird mix of Mercy and Widowmaker, and I can imagine every time they pick Widow, people flip out at them and go, oh, you're a Mercy main. This is why people want to hide the profiles, because if I go into a game and I go in and I go, well, I'm feeling pretty good about my Widowmaker at the moment, I want to go play Widow in ranked. it's not up to you to tell me that I can't. Even though there's like Moira and Zenyatta on the profile, it shouldn't be up to you to say, well, you can't do that. Team comp is wacky, but manageable. We have, you know, we have 2 supports at the very least. One of them is Zenyatta, which is always a good sign in my mind. Very close range as a mix. The Sombra, so if you think about, like, as Reinhardt, what are we going to be protecting? Well, first and foremost, we have no off-tank, so we're probably going to be taking a lot of damage. But this, like, core is actually pretty good. So if we just take, like, these guys together, the only thing that we aren't really protecting is the Silver Sombra. Which, honestly, that's fine. Like, Sombra can look after herself. So I can see us having a lot of instances where we will be just... Oh, this is a spicy coloration on this VOD as well. Someone went nuts with the saturation and the brightness settings. Good lord. But yeah, we'll talk about this moment and echo the sentiments on our previous run-out coaching. Yeah, we can just kind of ignore the Sombra. Sombra can look after herself. Everyone else we should be worried about. Because we are the solo tank, I don't mind us bouncing towards the payload once we get to the payload here, though. This Fire Strike is a little bit risky, but we're kind of okay doing it. Relatively safe, especially if you don't see like a Hanzo or something, then you're fine doing that. Soldier instead of Reaper, that's fine. Building up some ult charge. Oh, punish this, punish this, punish this, punish. Oh, no, no. Oh, I don't like the fear. This is a bad move by their Reinhardt, right? This is why, if you remember yesterday's coaching, we talked a huge amount about space. Actually, before I continue, let me send out a tweet just to let people know I'm coaching. But we talked about space a lot yesterday. All right, we talked about space a lot, and this is the idea. You know, someone asked, coaching the starting now, just very quickly. Someone asked very intelligently whether you should focus on controlling space or getting picks, and I answered, well, controlling space gets you picks, and this is a good example of why. I'm gonna be looking at some low. Actually, he's like mid. He's high gold, isn't he? No, it's low gold. At some low gold, high silver Reinhardt today. There we go. Still rare chance where charge is the best option. Charge is not a terrible idea. Okay. This is good for us, because basically this Reinhardt, he's not protecting anyone. Like, if his team drops down behind him, what this Reinhardt should do, and what people generally do at this moment if you're playing up here, is you actually take this pathway and you drop down so that you can then protect the choke safely. This Reinhardt now, if you consider the options for safety, you can either run this way, which just leads out towards your team, which isn't good, or he has to run just back, and that's not good for him. So what we can do now is we can just go and take space on him. We could just actually go and run forward at him. You could charge here, but honestly, I would say all you do at this moment is you run forward. You're on full health. You have still 1,000 barrier. We walk forward, and we just start hitting him. Just mouse 1, cancel, and then barrier up, right? Come forward. So you go forward, you hit, barrier up, and if he doesn't back off, you hit again, barrier up, hit again, barrier up. This builds up your ultimate charge a lot faster than his, and your team can actually push up and contest this space very aggressively. Like, this is not a good position for their team to be in. Once the rest of the team does drop down, then we're fine just backing away a little bit, taking our time. You can put a fire strike through that. Yep. Lots of tasty ult charge. Take a couple swings. Don't be afraid to just take a swing or two. The Brigitte can cause you some problems, but like, it's very unlikely that she will kill you.
Pushing far.
There we go. She goes down. The rest of your team should get a couple of kills here.
He's pushing far.
This is where it gets difficult, by the way, to coach gold, because sense just drops out the window. Like, taking a hit, I think the second hit here is slightly greedy. When you're in moments like this, where you're sort of just like what I'll call skirmishing back and forth. You hit and then you barrier, hit, barrier, because it makes you more survivable. And going for the second hit, honestly, probably is not worth it. And it's just getting used to that rhythm of... The nice thing with Reinhardt is you can cancel your swings into barrier as well. So you take the swing, and the moment you see the hit markers, the moment you see the connect, you bring your barrier back up, then you're safe. Healers can top you up a bit more, then you can take another swing, barrier, healers top you up, barrier, so on, so hit, barrier, so on, so on, so on, so on. You are absolutely fine just running into him there. This is a little bit greedy. Yeah, don't run past people. You could Earth Shatter here if they stay on the low ground. Okay, don't. Dodge, 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 dodge. Ooh, not good dodging. This is a game knowledge moment. where, okay, so you come around this corner and you see, well, Reinhardt's back. Okay, we can't Earth Shatter anymore. Just to briefly comment on what I was talking about before, by the way. So this is fine. You run in, kill the Brigitte. She can't defend against you. The moment you get here, we don't go further than this. Honestly, you probably just want to stop like here, for example. The reason why is you don't want this guy getting around behind you and D.Va getting around behind you, because that just leaves you in a really awkward position. You back off, and this is also what I call the suck, where you are sucking them in as Reinhardt, because you have this Earth Shatter. Don't think of Earth Shatter as this thing that is going to get like six people every time you use it. It's actually very, very effective if you just get 1 or 2. It's absolutely fine to do that. You can build it very quickly, and it just sets your team up to win a fight if you kill 2 people. So what you want to do is what I call the suck, right? You want to suck them in. And what that means is that when you're playing Reinhardt, this is a very common situation. Let's just draw a hypothetical situation. You're playing Reinhardt, and you actually, let's make this more like this. Okay? And you're pushing out of a choke point, as you often are on Reinhardt. So you're here, and you push out, and you're here. And you have enemies around you, and they're looking at you like this. And they're angry, and they're looking at you like this. What you do, if you have an Earth Shatter, is you actually, instead of pushing in or like positioning left or right, is you just walk backwards. Because what ends up happening when you walk backwards, as you go back, is they then move forwards and will end up in front of you. Which means that if you Earth Shatter, you get all of them. And you'll be amazed at how often this works, where you just backpedal and people run forwards in front of your barrier and you just go, oh, well, great. So it's almost like you push out and then you see where the enemy is and then you just step back. And the enemy will naturally almost, in this case, end up in front of you. The Hanzo might just go around, but that's vulnerable, and if he does, then you could start hitting him and just beat him to death with the soldier. But odds are, like, these guys are probably going to play to like these positions. Alternatively, they're going to start pulling back this way, in which case you have a beautiful Earth Shatter opportunity across this. So it's where, you see what I mean? You see what I mean? If you walk backwards and they end up in this position, oh look, and you're here, well, that's an easy Earth Shatter. So you'd be amazed at how often this works, at how good of a tactic this is. This is just spotting the Hanzo. Yeah, like, come on, come on. You know the animations. You see this. You see where he's aiming. You take a step to the left. The reason why you take it to, you just take a step to the left, and honestly, just being here is enough. You just have to be here and stand here. What you're hoping for is that this Reinhardt like goes nuts and just charges forward, like runs in and drops his barrier and runs in, because then you have, again, you have a, well, let's not use magenta here. You have another Earth Shatter opportunity. Like, this is, again, controlling space, right? You control this area because you project this Earth Shatter around. So if they want to move in through here, well, they're going to be moving into an Earth Shatter. So they have to slowly walk through it. So everyone just backs away, everyone is A-okay, and everyone's fine in this moment. Genji behind us. I like the fact that we're using like that rotation camera. Someone trying to infiltrate in the front line. It's awful. Barrier. Good. A little bit late on that if I was going to use it. So, why is that a little bit late? You have like 2 moments where you can use this Earth Shatter. Dueling with this Reinhardt a little bit is fine. Again, I would just keep beating him instead of going for the charge. This is why 90% of Reinhardt coaching, you'll hear me say the words, don't charge, charge less, use abilities less, because it's a more guaranteed thing to just continue beating him up. Alright, so just stand there and keep on shelling him. It's less likely to go wrong. Maintains your mobility. Your moment to Earth Shatter is now. The moment you hear him drawing out his Dragon Blade, the interesting thing is he's actually on the floor while doing this because he's doing it in the choke point. And you can kind of spot him out, so he's there. Everyone in the enemy team is, again, being sucked in. They're being pulled into this choke point. So if you Earth Shatter in there immediately, you'll catch them. The moment not to Earth Shatter is now. Because now you've moved so far away that, well, the enemy team isn't there, and you can sort of, you can take better stock of the fight and go, huh, this fight isn't really going our way straight away. Like, no one's here, no one's around, no one's fighting. Now this is rough. Now this is chaos. Now they've had time to scatter, move around a little bit more. Now they're not sucked in anymore. Well, there we go.
Sombra's not helping. We
Sombra
need
is
Sombra to become a tank.
not helping. They're correct. They're not playing Sombra very well. Sombra is very difficult to play well.
Still alive?
Oh yes, because we are playing who have the bigger D, I mean the best gold. The best gold. We have a Winston now. It works. It's good enough. Honestly, I think like the Sombra isn't helping, but you can beat this team with this comp. So just play. Don't know what these swings are doing. These swings are doing nothing for us. Like taking a swing at the Genji is one thing. So A, just standing here and like taking damage kind of works as an advanced tactic, but it's a little bit rough. Taking a swing at this Genji is fine, one, and then barriering up. But standing here and just swinging away, I'm not the biggest fan of. We should be pushing forward now. Good catch. But this is why we should just be walking forwards. I like the bluff though. Like this is just good cancelling. Like he falls for it. You swing, you cancel. Don't even need to jump here. Probably shouldn't jump here. The reason why I say we should be pushing forward, and I don't mean like we should be pushing all the way in, but once this coalescence comes through, just start walking forward with the beam. Just start walking up the beam, basically. Because this means the Moira's doing damage all the while, you can start hitting the Reinhardt a little bit. As long as you're not fire striking or charging, you can always just cancel and block the ult. There's plenty of time to react to those ults as well. Ashiad is a very slow ultimate. So we're playing aggressive now. Nice, getting some good damage.
Welcome to Overwatch, Monster.
Should have an ult in a
Jane
second.
Watt.
Hey! Hello. Hello, Anvil. Right click, push forward. Block it, block it, block it, block it. There we go. Feel free to charge that. Stuck in a thing. Whatevs. Everyone's dead. Okay, get blocking, get blocking, get blocking. Block, block, block. There we go. Instincts. Build up an instinct for respawns. And this is kind of an important idea, right? We're having a team fight, and you need to have like an internalized timer almost of about 15 seconds. So the moment a fight starts like leaning your way, so I'd say like this point, the fight is now kind of being won. A timer should be going off in your head of, okay, we have about 10 to 15 seconds of free time to do stuff with. We can do stuff, anything. Now, we could be bullying this Baby D.Va, but, you know, it's basically taking a bat at the Baby D.Va's fine in this moment, just because you can, again, cancel the swing and barrier up, which is okay. But letting her remake is no big deal here. But this is where, like, especially when you see this, when we're coming up this charge, and you see a threat, right? Just, there's like a frame of it, but on the VOD, on this beautiful, crispy VOD. There, we see a threat. So this is telling me, okay, well, the enemy team is starting to come back. Well, the 5 people on my team can deal with a Baby D.Va, or just like a D.Va in general. They can handle that, right? They've got this. They've got this no problem. So if we just block anything coming back in, because what could be coming back in, they could have a Hanzo popping up again, who's firing arrows. They could have a McCree who's shooting people and landing headshots. Like, things go wrong in moments like this because people... because people just are like, don't respect the enemy's ability to come back in and do things. So yeah, it's like trust in your team's ability to deal with a singular threat and deal with that single D.Va and just block anything coming back in. It just makes it safe for your team, because otherwise what can end up happening is, well, one of them realized, okay, well, second point, Widowmaker's really good, for example. So we want to change to Widowmaker. So suddenly a Widowmaker pops up, grapples up here and starts shooting people in your team. Next thing you know, your supports are dead. So then they push in and retake.
Ooh, nice kill, Reaper.
So just playing defense, playing blocking. You have 2,000 barrier, you can just put it up, hold it up, and be A-okay with your team.
Thanks.
Definitely countercharge that. Good. Free dead Reinhardt. Lul. This is where we should be considering swapping.
They're the main tank.
This VOD is crazy bright. Yes, it is crazy bright. And saturated. But hey, send in more footage. You can record better, send in more footage. This is what I've got at the moment, for God's sake. Is it okay that I never trust my team to kill a baby diva? If you're a main tank, you should trust your team to do it. Like, if it's just her in the back line. I'm fine with this to a degree, but we lost track of the Reaper. Yeah, so... This is the general Reinhardt concept, okay? This is a good demonstration of the general Reinhardt concept. Which is, you want to be blocking the biggest threat to your team at any given time. Okay? General idea of playing main tank. That is what your job. You are somehow causing problems for the biggest physical threat around. So, if you're in the situation where we have an enemy Reinhardt, let's use magenta. You have the enemy Reinhardt, Mercy, and a Reaper is floating around as well, so we start moving forward. Well, most of their team is going to be behind the Reinhardt, but you see this? This is something that we have to keep track of, because Reaper is a major source of damage. We have a Reinhardt and a Mercy here, which is a little bit scary. We have who knows what round the corner, and we have a Reaper. Well, the biggest threat is the Reaper, and potentially an Earthshatter coming out of this guy. So we need to block this guy off, but we need to keep track of where this guy is. Because, yeah, if we don't, and we don't respect the Reaper, then we could be in trouble. He's looking for an Earthshatter. I don't like this at all. This Reinhardt did a very stupid thing. I think we did the incorrect thing by charging. But yeah, this is very dumb by their Reinhardt. Let me explain why, because again, we're Reinhardt coaching, so we can... Like, if you can't teach, be an example, basically. So look at this guy. Why is this so bad? Well, he's cut himself off from his support, so the space that your team controls right now is basically like this area. Right? The Mercy's like over here, or over... I think she's more like over here. Now Reinhardt's over here. Well, to get to this Reinhardt, she has to go through contested space. Where can he retreat to? He can either retreat this way, well, he can't block for his team if he's over here, or he has to, again, cross in front of everyone on your team to get back to doing his job. He's also trapped in a corner, so if you just muscle forward and just hit him, then you are fine. The reason why I say don't charge is because if he does have an Earthshatter for whatever reason, I think he might have used one recently, and just... Yeah, he used one relatively recently, but... Reinhardts can build them up somewhat quickly, so I wouldn't feel 100% safe in saying that he doesn't have it. I'd just go up and beat him. And beat him to death. He's on about 1,200 barrier at this point as well. Just walk up, smash him a couple of times, Discord orbs on him, he will drop like a freaking stone. This is where we should be, yeah, looking for an Earthshatter. Not the greatest Earthshatter, but good enough. I'm not too disapproving, I'm not too stern on this one. I would have liked us just to, again, take a step back, maybe, at this moment, but getting these two is fine. Like, this is a good demonstration of the concept of you don't have to hit everybody with the Earthshatter. Just getting two crucial targets is more than enough, and this is enough to win you the fight. So that's actually quite good to see.
Thank you.
We aren't just, like, holding on to it and thinking, oh, yes, we're going to get everybody. We definitely need to respect the shit out of the enemy Reinhardt here in terms of its ults. I don't like the fact that we're taking all these charges and fire strikes and stuff. It sounds really harsh to say, but it's like... He might not have it, judging by his behavior at this point. But if he did have Earthshatter, and you try and do what we just did, which is you run forward, you'd be Earthshattered now. And potentially several people in you and several other people on your team would be stunned. This gives them an in, gives them a way to do something. Just running at him, pressuring him with left clicks is fine. And just playing around this corner, beating him back, building up your ult meter, A-okay. Basically, there is no need to do over fancy stuff. That was... I can appreciate going for this fire strike, however. This is where I will let it go, because it's like, oh, well, they've just got like 3 big targets all taking huge damage lined up in a row. Yeah, you fire strike. You're already so far behind the team as well that if they are shatter now, it's whatever as well. Payload isn't actually moving at this point. Barrier up. Don't like the charge here. Again, would like to just see us walk up with using the button. Have you seen Brigitte stun in the last 5 seconds? 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. It was just about to come off cooldown. Just about to come off cooldown. But respect Brigitte's.
Yeah, I have ult again. I have Shatter.
It wouldn't be too bad if you blocked it, but again, it's just, yeah.
Fuck yeah, boys.
Nice. Good. I love it.
Ah, shit. Sorry. I didn't block that.
Still good enough. Okay, team's got a bit ham.
Cart.
The trance is a little bit over the top.
Fuck yeah, boys.
When would you be using Fire Strike? Very rarely. It's seriously the number one piece of advice I give to any and all Reinhardt. Just stop using abilities.
3 on cart. 3 on cart. 3 on cart. There you go.
Don't like this charge. Could pay off, but could also just leave us very vulnerable and dead. Lol. So, why don't I like this? Do you notice that we don't actually do anything with that charge? You notice we don't actually stop the main sources of damage, control anything really, we don't kill anything. What's going on back here isn't actually that big of a deal. What's going on the point is a really big deal. I got a Tracer who's stalling, the Zarya gets killed by the Winston who's being zoned out there, Reaper just gets straight to the point, so we're now in a kerfuffle with an Orisa. None of this would have happened if we just stayed on the point. We don't have to worry about what's going on over there. We have to worry about clearing this point off, because what's going on over there will sort of come over here, but Winston's dealing with that shit. That's an off-tank's job. Off-tanks are good at that. So if we just stay on this point and swing around a bit, we can probably kill the Tracer, then Reaper's out on top of us. We just block for our team, kill the Reaper, and just work one by one. That's all you need to be doing. Instead, we go for this over-aggressive play, which is frankly unnecessary. Completely unnecessary.
Nice push. Let's just regroup.
And this sort of thing is where, especially, like I'd say, lower ranked teams tend to crumble mentally. They will collapse because they think, oh, well, we should have won there. But Zenyatta blew his ultimate, we got out of position, no one finished up the Tracer on the point. And that's a bit of a problem. By the way, this is where I recommend taking the high ground pathway. Low ground is okay, but just taking control of high ground denies stuff like the Junkrat being up here. Makes it very difficult for them.
If we get that chunk off high ground.
Block for the Moira. Block for the Moira. Block for the Moira. Good. Nice. Good start. You see what I mean by charges getting you killed? You probably would have been better actually hitting the Orisa there, by the way. Like, just stopping here and then backing off. But nowhere this charge was ending was going to be good. Like, the only excusable charge I would say here is if you actually just aimed straight for the payload. Because then you could back off again and play to protect your team. Let's use black here. Oh, that's so soothing to look at. With all the brightness, it's nice just to have, like, some actual black. Some darkness. Instead of, like, these very washed out greys. Ugh. Ugh. So yeah, like just hitting here and then backing up would have been okay, but I don't think any charge works well here. You just barrier up and walk, and then start hitting people. Because otherwise we end up in these sorts of situations where now, well, we're behind enemy lines, and we're not blocking anyone on our team. So they're dealing with a Reaper that's now trying to kill them. The Tracer's sort of getting free shots on them. I'm sure the Orisa and Zarya can do whatever they want. Teams stop functioning as a close-in unit. Your team's working with a Reaper Moira. Like, Reaper Moira really wants to be in a single pushing unit, so yeah.
4, maybe 5 ults. So let's group together. Come back if you're still alive.
I think Reinhardt should have some form of CC resistance. I agree. I would love to see Reinhardt get some, like, passive knockback resistance is what I would like to see on Reinhardt's. Especially. He shouldn't be as easy to displace as he is. Okay, let's move in. Keep moving forward, keep moving forward, keep moving forward. Okay. Chat, what is the Orisa counter? Please, someone, you know, answer the question, chat. You have the tools. You have the resources. Let's go. Come on. I know you can do this. Someone. Counter to Orisa. W. It's a good start. There we go. Orisa counter. There we are. Just walk forward. Just walk forward. W. W. Yes. Perfect. Perfect. Oh, especially in a situation like this. Like, the barrier is so far forward. Just walk in. Walk the friggin'. You've got a Reaper, and they've lost one of their heroes, and you got Moira as well, like pouring healing into your arsehole. You don't win this fight by standing here, and then she like replaces her barrier, right? And then shoots you, and then you stay here, and she replaces her barrier again. You don't win that. You don't win that. You win that by just getting into her, hitting her like twice, and then earth shattering everyone.
Their Moira just fucked up.
Good use of the Death Blossom to move forward. Zarya's dead. Good. Let's block up, block up, block up.
We're at that point. Moira on carrot.
That Junkrat's still not dead. Lulz. Lul. We're gonna have a lot to say. Okay. Okay. So,
Give me a few more seconds.
how do we make this push work? How do we make this final push work? Well, first and foremost, it's nice to see that we start this push by pressing tab, even if it is for like a millisecond. So let's talk about victory conditions. Well, we got a lot of them actually. We have a Dragon Strike, we have a Death Blossom, we have an Earth Shadow coming online soon, and we have a Coalescence. Pretty good. We have some pretty good resources coming online. So honestly, we only need to really get Reaper into their team. We start off the fight with a pick, that's great. Okay, let's just pressure forward onto the point. You have advantage, go take advantage. Pressure onto the point, and keep moving forward.
Just give me a few more seconds, I'll have Shatter.
And Moira especially, I think, has just jumped behind you, maybe not.
Their Moira just fucked up.
Yeah, their Moira just fucked up. So I'm glad to see, like, we use this. We should now barrier up and just block, check.
Fire above.
We get launched, we come back down. And then this is where we fuck up, to be honest. So remember that internal timer I was talking about? The internal timer in your head that's telling you, okay, well, they will be respawning in this time period. This is a very important one.
We're at that point.
Also, what's the Junkrat? I didn't see the Junkrat crosshair, so I'll take a look in a second. But this is where we should actually be finishing off the Junkrat. Once we land, we should be turning around and killing the Junkrat.
Moira on carrot.
And like helping clean up on point. The Earth Shadow here is terrible, just because it's just not going to work. Again, you need to back away. There's too many people scattered around you. Take a couple of steps backwards, then Earth Shadow. Then you're probably going to get some stuff. That is a novelty crosshair, certainly. That's an interesting one. I mean, it kind of works. I wouldn't use it myself. Yeah. I think that's a case of it looks kind of cool, but it's not actually practical. Being honest, all you really need is the center dot anyway. Is that the one PvP uses? There you go. I can see the logic. No, it does. It functions as a crosshair. Like, I'd say the important things with Junkrat for a crosshair, and let me tell you why this sort of works. The important things for a Junkrat is the vertical alignment of your aim. So actually having like a line through the middle of your screen wouldn't be too bad, because Junkrat has no aim variance when to the left or to the right. So when you're firing grenades, the grenade will go straight in a straight line. There is like a grenade will never launch from, like, let's say Junkrat fires from the middle of the screen. His grenade won't just do this or do this. His grenades will always do this, right? They'll go down the middle of the screen. So the most important thing for you to know is where is the center line of the screen, so you can orient it to the enemy. So let's say that you want to shoot this Reinhardt. Well, you can shoot anywhere from, say, like here up to here. Okay, this is a bit extreme. at this distance. But for example, like let's say this Reinhardt was 20 meters further back, then you need to know like a line from the bottom of the Reinhardt to the top, and you need that vertical alignment. You have a center dot, which is always useful. It's just, to me, like it's just a little bit useless. I prefer a tighter crosshair myself. I use just the crosshair I use on pretty much everyone is this. The exception I use is Tracer, who I use a dot and a circle. I think I use like the boob for Reaper as well, because the circles are more useful for like shotguns and weapons with high spread. I mean, technically, yeah, you could, like, if you have a Junkrat crosshair that is just literally like a line through the middle of your screen, and like a center point mark as well, so you know where middle is, that would actually work. So we are just playing stall at this point, praying that our team can get back here, but yeah, it's not going to happen.
Damn. Thought we'd have that for sure. We just didn't finish it very well.
Dot plus circle is good for dot plus circle is good for anything with Reaper, Roadhog, Tracer, where you would generally use dot circle. Because what you want is a circle that you know that if you put the enemy's like body in it, you will deal damage, and that's what you want with Reaper. Turn off my screen. Yeah, I'll turn off my screen before playing Junkrat. Exactly. I'm trying to remember what the default crosshair looks like with Junkrat, because it doesn't look like a normal grenade one. Like, there's a reason, but like if you look at an actual military crosshair for a grenade launcher, it's actually like this normally. Right? It's normally like, let's say this is center point. It normally looks like an inverted T, and then it has like this. Right? That's why. Because as long as this lines up with the enemy, all you have to give a shit about is the vertical alignment. And then you calibrate this to be like 20, 40, 60, 80, 100. And so then you know that, okay, we put this on them for various bits. And with Reinhardt, just whatever you want. You need something marking the middle of the screen, but beyond that, you could have a circle this big. I mean, it just doesn't matter.
I'm thinking we're gonna need a tally.
Interesting. Again, this is competitive, so this is old Symmetra.
We don't really have anything to take care of that Pharah.
Well, you just... So, this is unconventional on Dorado, just first and foremost. So, before the map begins, we should be taking a look at our team lineup. So, there we go. And thinking about, again, always think about what you are actually working with. So, we want to be protecting. Pretty much just like these guys, actually. So, just the Genji will be pretty independent. But that's about it. But yeah, this is not where we normally start on Dorado. You can either start with the Roadhog is starting. With this team comp, I don't really recommend that. This is more of a Widowmaker position. It just gives you sightlines into the enemy spawn, so you can get an early kill and then fall back this way. I generally suggest that you just start on the high ground behind. And that gives you very good sightlines all the way through this area. Means you can do some damage. You're not really looking to kill or contest. You're just looking to get some damage done and build up some ults. Maybe get a kill. It's unlikely though. Then you fall back to the bridge when you need to. And this Pharah just like floats out into the middle and then lands in front of us with a Discord orb on it. Yeah.
I think my hammer does a good enough job on it.
Good blocking. Keep an eye on the threat. That's a Torbjorn. Okay, yep, you gotta bully this. Just left click him and his turret. Break his stupid toys. If the enemy team want to play stupid shit, you can just stop this working entirely. The Ana missed. I don't... How? I'm sure the Ana's just as confused as I am by that one. Torb on offense, it's like low gold, high silver. anything is a possibility. I am fine with the current situation, to be honest. This, by the way, this moment back here, this is one of the few instances where charging would actually be correct. This is one of those few moments where if you waited for him to get to like here and just charged, that would be fine. And that would be the play that I would go for, because I think going for the Mercy is risky, because the Reinhardt could turn around and charge you. Charging on cooldown? No. Charged off cooldown. That's Fire Strike.
Don't overextend.
Okay. Time to start backing off. Barrier up, back away. Yeah. The reason why we back off here is because their team now is starting to just regroup properly. So this is no longer as safe as it used to be. You can see like your team is starting to pull back. Their team is starting to break out. So going for this is why we get punished for it. Because your team is pulling back, their team is actually grouped up now. And so we take a shitload of damage and we just get burnt down and die. This leaves our team kind of in the lurch for a little while. Luckily the payload's right in front of their door, so not the biggest deal in the world. This is where your team really needs to fall back and regroup. Like, losing a Reinhardt is a very good signal to just fall back. And now we should play very defensively. Like, you should right-click, or you should just try for the Earth Shatter. Yeah, back up, back up, back up. We'll get in there, that's fine. Good. Like, when you are hacked, what do you do when you're hacked? Get out of dodge, basically. You want to just get out and away from the enemy team. So getting indoors here is fine, and just clobbering these guys because they're both low, that's fine, but then you just keep backing out. And then maybe we'll be able to Earth Shatter that dude, but that's rough.
So they've got Earth Shatter now?
Go through, go through, go through, go through. Nice. Okay. They don't have a Reinhardt, so just break his toys. Break the barrier, break the bubble. Oh, you're hacked. Oh, that really sucks. That really sucks. Oh, that hurts so much. This is where, by the way, this is where just stuff like bringing the shield up for a second, just to when you take stock and turn like this, and you just bring the shield up just to take a moment to think and look. Hey, Mercs 4444444444444. Thanks so much. Like, don't be afraid to just bring the barrier up and then look. So instead of just swinging and looking, there is no harm if you know that, okay, well, I'm probably not going to hit anything. Just turn, barrier up, take a moment, and then what you can do is, like, we can take a breather and think, okay, well, what's our next move in this fight? We turn, we look, huh, this is a pretty good Earth Shatter. This is a pretty good Earth Shatter target. Okay, next step should be to remove this barrier. Unfortunately, we get hacked. Falling back this way is the risk here. We should be falling back towards our team. So we should be going back behind the payload, not to the side here. If we did have supports, just for the sake of argument, they'll probably be back here. So we want to be moving towards where they are. Instead, we split off from our team. So our team cannot help us dealing with this. So this is basically just putting us to death. Right, we've moved away from where our team is. And that's always a bad thing.
Sombra instead. They've got very low damage output.
You have correctly analyzed the enemy team. They have really shit DPS. So yeah.
Hopefully I can aim today.
It would help. Alright, come on back, guys. Come on back. We'll hold around this corner.
Don't be afraid to use the group up button. So press C and drag down to the bottom right. It's here. Because what it does is it puts an icon on the screen as well, and just like that really does help people know where you are, know what you mean when you do that. Try and save this guy, barrier in front of him. You aren't going to stop a Fire Strike and Winston damage, but you still want to try and do it anyway, because other sources of damage could be hitting him as well, like this turret's trying to hit him, for example. Respect the enemy Reinhardt, okay. Respect the enemy Reinhardt. Yeah, you gotta respect the enemy now. So just keep your barrier up, face the enemy. We mostly want to be thinking about our shadow, and this, like, so if we, instead of like coming, okay. What I don't like about this moment is that we come around a blind corner, and then we just instantly like fold and chase this guy. So we're already taking a shitload of damage. We're running into a Torbjorn, which is actually quite dangerous. Close range Torbjorn is surprisingly deadly. If we just turn the corner here and then just sort of let this unfurl, well, again, we can control this space. And if they want to push ahead of their Rhine, well, you have a Mercy and a Torb here that you can shatter. That's 2 kills. Straight up. It's really annoying. Let's back up for a second or two. Really annoying. This is this is why Reinhardt's dread the day that Sombra is like 100% needed, because this is Reinhardt gameplay. The Sombra is actually doing a good job here of controlling us. It's not the perfect, but the Sombra is being a massive pain in the ass.
I had no shield to put up.
Shattering now, she works in surroundings on the payload. People who are in front of him to the sides of him. It would have worked there anyway. But it's again, it's our shadow. Who knows? Yeah, just play the choke, play it slow. Don't like the. Let this be a learning point. She can't hack you through the barrier, and I think she hacks from the front here. No, she hacks from the side. Okay, but even then, just like. There is no need to like rush this, and there's no need to fire strike here either. The fire strike is not helping you in the slightest. If you just walked out slowly and just like turned when you saw the Sombra starting the hack, you'd probably be okay here. Stuff like this will screw you up so often, and it's such a weird thing to sort of say, well, don't do things. Just take it steady. Like, this is a moment where you walk because you are walking into everyone on the enemy team, and then you will see threats happening as they occur. Instead of doing the bounce walk where we end up coming out a little bit too far, oh, the hack comes through, by the time we realize, oh shit, we're already hacked.
Again, guys.
Fuck. How do you guys die like that?
I got hacked right away, and had no shield.
New Sombra is going to be so Resident Sleeper. I've seen people talk about the new Sombra and say, oh, she's a nerf. Like, oh, she moves slower now. And it's like, you spend too long hiding. It's just like...
Close. We all gotta focus her.
Let me fucking rant about this. This drives me crazy. People with the new Sombra, okay? So, new Sombra. Okay, perma-stealth. Sit down, kids. Take some notes. You got perma-stealth, and you have reduced speed. You also have a perma-translocator. That's just... Okay, but the big things, the big talking points are generally these two. That people talk about a lot. And the reason why people think it's a nerf is, A, well, perma-stealth enables you to just sit in the back line for super long. There's no time pressure for you to do anything. And so you spend a super long time hiding, waiting for a moment to strike, and don't end up doing anything. So you end up actually doing less than if you had normal stealth. It's a stupid fucking argument. Because to me, that argument is basically, oh, well, if I'm playing Tracer and I blink into the enemy backline and then spend ages just standing around in the enemy backline not doing anything, Tracer clearly sucks. She should have fewer blinks or have longer blink cooldowns, so I have to do more things or something. I'd like, just do more then. It's not actually changing your ability. It's actually making it easier for you to get into a good position to do stuff. And you should just be doing stuff. Overwatch is a game where you need to be doing stuff. The reduced speed, I think, is just more of how it feels and not so much how it actually affects her gameplay. Because the stealth is really shit as an escape mechanism. If the enemy knows where you are and they're just shooting at you, the stealth is not useful for escape. Because the moment you take one bit of damage from anything, you get de-stealth straight away. So it's never been about escape. It's always been about infiltration, getting in. The fact that you can just translocate and then just go, and then translocate again and go, and then just throw a translocator somewhere completely safe, all from stealth, is insane and makes you super mobile. Getting into location is no problem. I don't see this as a nerf. I think the arguments that, oh, well, you are worse now because you move slower in stealth, it's still super easy to get where you need to go. Even with the radius being doubled, it's still pretty easy to get to where you need to. People are calling it a nerf because you can't contest point in stealth. It was never great to begin with. And, like, that's such... I don't like that argument either. Like, if Sombra's only use was her ability to contest things in stealth, then she was a shit hero. Basically. And I understand that, oh, it's like, oh, well, I can't use her to roll out super quickly and maybe get an extra second to contest, but people react pretty fast to, like, oh, it's a Sombra. So they just start spraying around anyway. So it doesn't really change much compared to like a Mei or a Doomfist or something, which has similar rollout paces but will also influence the fight. Sombra's a stall, but not an interesting way of stalling of actually beating the enemy and getting them off the point. It's just going to buy you a second or two longer. It's not really that useful. I don't like the idea of, oh, well, this is just a nerf. It's just a nerf. It's like, really? I don't think so. I think it's a change. I think it's a huge change. I think it's going to make it very frustrating to deal with. But I don't think it's a nerf. I'm still not happy with the change, by the way. I'd rather see her be more combat focused, but that's just me.
Yep.
Is it even possible to react to hack anymore? Yes, but it's very
As soon
difficult.
as she takes one bullet, her axe.
It has 5 hit points, yes. The Transcade has 5 hit points.
She can ult.
Sombra's doing a good job. Good job of our own with the suck. This was an Earthshatter opportunity. Ah, God, we almost had it. So you use this opportunity to do a suck, right? You want to just be setting yourself up for the Earthshatter. So you just pull back to like here. Enemy team all runs forward, all in the space, and then next thing you know, whammo, you have a quality Earthshatter on your hands. The Reinhardt's even like falling for it. He's going for a charge. He's gone through. Earthshatter's now available. You just drop the Shatter, you get 2. You probably won't get the Mercy, but you'll get 2. You get the Anna and the Winston, that's worth.
I keep getting hacked, like I'm completely useless here.
Just fall back a little bit.
Brigitte, you gotta hit me with some
Okay,
heals.
yeah, just follow towards the Brigitte. She will heal you up slowly. You guys are fine. Good.
Okay. Don't get picked. Maybe an Orisa would be better, so she hacks you, but your shield's still up.
It's not a bad idea,
Switch
actually.
After I use my Earthshatter.
Okay.
Just break that barrier.
Welcome
Notice-
to Overwatch.
By the way,
Mercy.
don't ever feel too pressured by Torbjorns when you're playing Reinhardt. Like, I want you guys just to take a moment. Hey, Erocleo, thank you so much. It's appreciated. Welcome. Good to have you on board. Good use of that Twitch Prime sub. Ding. If you have Twitch Prime. Ding. Hint. Ding. You can give it to one of your favorite streamers. Anyway, this is just a good lesson. If you're playing Reinhardt against a
Your
Torb,
shield's still up.
just watch how little the Torb turret does. Like, this is a tier 1 turret.
Okay.
It's going to take fucking weeks to kill you. To kill your turret. Tier 2 turret takes fewer weeks, but it's so slow. It's so slow. It's no big deal.
Oh my god.
So this is where you probably just want to swap straight up. Question about Torb. Should you charge your Torb turret at level 3 to stun it and remove it from the fight? No. Barrier works super well on Torb turrets. Going for an Earthshatter? Just use it, use it, use it. Good.
You
But
gotta be kidding
not
me.
enough. You can Earthshatter a Torb turret at tier 3. That works. Don't charge it though.
Yes.
But Barrier is actually really good at blocking
She
Torb
hacks you,
turret.
but your shield's
The
still up.
the scary thing with the Torb turret, in general, is that Torb turrets deal very consistent DPS. So they will like the thing with the Torb turret is it has 100% accuracy. But you've got a Reinhardt barrier. Like the reason why the Reinhardt barrier is 2,000 or Zoo hit points is 2,000 hit points is because everyone has 100% accuracy on the barrier, right? Like, everyone hits this all the time. So if you just block, it's fine.
I'll switch after I use
A-okay.
Shredder.
This was a rough game. This was a good example of just like their Sombra, and I want to highlight, by the way, just this moment here where their Sombra has been like giving us the D the entire game, and this moment at the start of the game where we check people's profiles and we look and it's like, oh, they have a Sombra, and then it's like, oh shit, this Sombra is actually. All she's done all game is hack us over and over. We have given her some of those opportunities, however. Just by under-barriering and overutilizing our cooldowns, we were giving her those opportunities. The biggest piece of advice I will give is just think about your barrier a lot more than your abilities, and then basically play slower, effectively. It sounds like an oxymoron. It's like, oh, surely to get better, I should be playing quicker, I should be playing smarter, I should be playing faster than the enemy. Playing slower will actually help a lot. Because it will make you realize things like, okay, well, if I just barrier up here and then turn and, oh, look, well, all the enemies are here, I can get an Earth Shatter coming up soon. So I should be thinking about the Earth Shatter in this space. Okay, the barrier's there. We get hacked from the front, I'll note, by the way. So if we barriered there, we would block it. Okay, we're in trouble. You might also then back away, for example. If you're thinking about the Earth Shatter, instead of thinking about just clobbering the Winston, you would back away towards where your team is, which again gives you the suck, because everyone on their team wants to be moving in this space, right? And you pull back, and then you Earth Shatter this space. Very important. Very important. The person is only in goal because she only plays Sombra? Maybe.
Do they still have a Pharah?
They have... Basically, as Sombra, it's not a bad idea to just bully the shit out of Reinhardt. Your team also does a really bad job of just stabilizing overall. Like, this is where the biggest opportunity is, and again, we kind of screw it by just playing a bit over aggro here. And then, like, you miss an Earth Shatter opportunity here, for example. You can get hacked, bullied a little bit. Okay, we've got to back off. Could try and go for an Earth Shatter here, maybe. Hack comes in. Pull back, pull back, pull back, pull back. Can't block. Feels bad, man. And then we flub on the rollout here, because we try and do too much too quickly. Fire strike, bounce out, all leaves us vulnerable. We need to just advance out with a barrier. Oversimplify. Oversimplify. Well, not oversimplify, just simplify. Simplify. Okay, if you have questions about tanking, about Reinhardt, about these two lovely gentlemen, look at these guys, look at these chumps, look at these people. And we'll give Miska a pipe. There we go. Right, if you have questions, now is the time to ask. Now is the time to ask. I love Miska's face. It's a good picture. It's a really good picture of both of them, to be honest. It is actually a very nice picture of them. It's very flattering. Ooh, there's green. Oh, be gone. Be gone. Be gone, green. It should go away when the screen changes. Yeah, it's still kind of there. I want it gone. It'll tilt everybody, including myself. Just like up the brightness. There we go. Training Hero Gallery. Hammond. Oh, bless him. Bless him. Bless his little cotton socks. Let's roll out with this for now. Can you guys be seen? You guys can be seen. Good. How long is holding shadow for too long? I would say, like, by the time we were rolling out in the desperation last moments, that's when we should be probably swapping. Earth Shatter is a low priority ultimate. Earth Shatter is not a good ultimate. You try and use it early and aggressively, is what I would say. Like, Earth Shatter is... I treat it more like a cooldown for you to use than as an overarching ability that you should be thinking about a huge deal all of the time. So yeah. A high GeForce experience, yeah. It starts up every time I start the stream. Why are we letting Miska have firearms? And also, when is the deadline for finalizing the World Cup teams? July 5th, I think, is the deadline. So yeah. I'll let Miska gets firearms because why not? Why not? What's the worst that could happen? The devs said that fixing Ryan is very high priority. How would you fix him? Making charge more consistent. Like, charge is the big one in my mind. Charge is just so inconsistent it's hard to use and hard to justify using it because it's so often that it just goes wrong. So having ways to make charge just work, feel more consistent, feel more uniform in its usage, feel safer to use overall would help a lot. The word fixing, like, is just, in my mind, is more like bug fixes or polish more than anything else. It's not changes to his kit. Fixing Reinhardt is making Earthshatter feel consistent. I will revert the change they made a while ago to make Earthshatter like not have vertical impact. Like give Earthshatter its verticality back. If I Earthshatter an enemy team in front of me and they're stood on a payload, they shouldn't be safe from that. That feels really stupid. And I don't care if like a Genji feels upset because he jumped up twice in the air. Like he did a double jump in front of me and drew a Dragon Blade and I Earthshattered him. He should be punished for that. Like, he should not be drawing Dragon Blade in front of Reinhardt in the first place. That's just bad. Hey! Juicy Auto host. Probably the worst possible time, but hey. If Reinhardt's charge was an ice cream, what flavour would it be? Terrible. Awful flavour. That's what it would be. Miska gets firearms because he will shoot you if you try and take it. Yes, that's why. Because no one can take it from him. From playing with me on Ryan, is there anything particular you've noticed I need to work on? Not off the top of my head. Like, you generally do pretty well overall. Like, your positioning seems fine, you seem to make intelligent decisions, you seem good. In my mind, there's no reason why you shouldn't be climbing with your Reinhardt performances. Stop trying to fight Zarya's in the backline, that's always good advice. Yeah, like, understand your job as a main tank is to contest the majority of their team, not a single target. Just general good advice. When playing with a Zarya, how often should you drop shield when she bubbles you? You shouldn't. In general, like, you can do it a little bit because it will save your barrier a little bit, but it's a judgment call of if you're the only one around a corner and she bubbles you, then sure, you can drop it and just like waddle back and forth. But the way it works is if your barrier is up and you get a bubble and you're the Reinhardt, if you get shot, the bubble still generates charge. Okay, the bubble technically will generate charge as long as, like, I think if they like shoot the corners, then it won't, but in general, it will generate charge. So you shouldn't be afraid to just leave it up. If your team is taking a shitload of spam, then just leave it up. And like you have everyone behind you. If you're taking a shitload of spam but no one's behind you, then sure, drop it. Let the Zarya bubble give you a little bit of relief and then bring it back up. So it really is a judgment call of when am I safe compared to when is my team safe. And if your team isn't safe, then you barrier up. Who do you think is the most survivable tank versus Sombra? Orisa's a pretty good shout. Yeah, I think it's Orisa. Like, Orisa's barrier won't go down, basically. Winston really struggles. If Sombra manages to hack Winston's just done. Winston relies on, like, landing, bubbling, and then jumping out, so he's so cooldown dependent that if you disable his cooldowns, he dies. Reinhardt needs his barrier. Reinhardt can kind of do okay because he can run off, and it just... like, he'll generally survive, but his team won't. Which is the sort of the big thing with Sombra hacking Reinhardt. With Orisa, you don't do anything to the barrier. You can't kill her super easily as well because she has so much armor, so it's kind of icky. If you lose the shield wall much more frequently than enemy Ryans, when would be the time to go aggro and when to hide? If you, like, it's just a calculation you need to make in your head of what is my team's damage output compared to theirs. And so it's a matter of looking at your team and going, well, we have, you know, if your team lineup... Sorry, I really needed to do that. If your team lineup is Hanzo Widow, and their team lineup is Roadhog Junkrat, you are going to lose the barrier war, right? So you know that you're going to lose the barrier war, which means that you have to be very quick on your engagements, which means you cannot just stand there tanking damage because you know that you're going to lose it. And so it's getting a feel for, okay, well, their team is burning down my barrier every single time I poke out, so I can't just stand there with my barrier out. So you can then go on and you can, if you want to, inform your team, hey guys, yeah, my barrier's going down super quick, so I can't stand out there. So what I'm going to do is we engage, my barrier goes up, and we just push in. You play super aggro on that account. Understanding who's winning and losing the barrier war is basically lets you know that you need to make the play. Because if you don't make a play, basically think of the different scenarios that can occur, okay? Either you both stand there, he makes a play, so I'll demonstrate this by like this. You make a play, or you both make a play. All right. Okay. So these are the 4 outcomes. Well, in this outcome, he wins. In this outcome, it's undecided. In this outcome, he probably wins. And in this outcome, it's undecided. So what's the biggest benefit for their Reinhardt? It's to do nothing. In all the cases where their Reinhardt does nothing, your barrier goes down first, and you have to come into him. So he can hold his barrier up while you're moving forward, your barrier's getting torn down. It's bad. If he makes a play, well, then suddenly it's a bit iffy. Suddenly he's losing that advantage he has. So you really want to be careful about sort of playing super aggro when you know that you're going to win the barrier war. So you let your team win out on that, and then you can start making pushes, play aggressively into their Reinhardt when necessary. So if their barrier is down, then your Roadhog and stuff can push up, and then you can start taking ground. Once this barrier has been eliminated, then you can start playing. If you try and make a play when you know you're winning the barrier war, then you're just negating your advantage. Hirsch from Overwatch Central, when they interviewed pros, that Tavik said a good change to Tor will be to do something about his hitbox. He is too easy to headshot. And something similar else with his turret design, and then smacking it to level 2. Thoughts? His head hitbox is definitely the big problem with him, but that's just part of his balance overall. Like, it's to discourage him from being involved in direct combat. It's a way that Blizzard has of balancing and tweaking various heroes' combat power is by having them have less favorable hitboxes, for example. So a lot of the sort of the more high direct damage heroes generally have clunky hitboxes. They are generally the Reapers, the McCrees, the Soldier 76s, the males that have big boxy shoulders, big boxy models, and so they're quite easy to hit. Might not be quite easy to headshot, but quite easy to hit overall. The sort of the more agile heroes generally have very slender hitboxes and generally are much more hard to hit. Torbjorn has a big stocky hitbox because he is a damage machine when he's in close range. Actually, he's actually surprisingly tough. So if he was like a diva figure, if he had like a diva hitbox and had Torbjorn's damage output, he would actually be really powerful, really powerful. It'd be definitely a way to buff him. Whether it would be good for the game, I don't know. I do think that the turrets, it's an odd one, basically. Like, the turret is always going to be difficult because it's... How do I explain this? Either the turret is really good and mandatory on specific... Like, either you will have specific points where you put the turret down and it's necessary every game and the enemy has to deal with and break the turret, and every single game becomes about beating the turret, or it's bad and you just don't use it at high-level play. The turret, I think, will never... Like, Torbjorn is a hero that will never be good at high-level games, except for in very, very specific incidences. And even then, he will only really work as a surprise that you run once and maybe build up a molten core once and then just, let it die.
Are you looking forward to Season 11?
Kind of, yes. We'll see how it goes, Magic Master. I imagine it'll be very frustrating still, but we'll try regardless. LFG should help a lot. I'm just going to play on the Talon account and then try and headshot people as Widowmaker as much as possible. Torbjorn, like, in my mind, if Torbjorn is viable in Overwatch League, then everyone is going to be fucking miserable, basically. So either they totally... And the thing is, Torbjorn fulfills a design niche of having the builder and having the guy who makes a turret and maintains a turret. It's a very favoured archetype because Engineering TF2 kind of introduced it, but it's never going to be a good thing, in my mind. Be careful what you wish for. Fire strike could hit fires in the air, but near walls. Just don't be near walls. Whatever. I'd rather that happens than Earthshatter be like completely random and useless as shit. On Seagull streams, devs talk about Rhine changes. They rewrote the whole code for Earthshatter, and after that they were thinking about buffs. Yeah, good. I'm glad it needs to happen. Do you have an opinion on Hammond? My opinion on Hammond is that he's underpowered. Just very quickly. My opinion on this little guy is that he is, the hard part with Hammond is, as fun as Hammond is, as lovely as Hammond is, he has some pretty stiff competition, right? There's no sound in game, by the way. You're not going deaf. He has some really stiff competition. He has some really cool effects and really niche things, but he needs to beat out D.Va. Now, in my mind, the most underrated part of his kit is the control, and I think people are starting to understand that this and the knock-up from it is really potent. Like, this is a really good ability. It's got a long cooldown on it, though, as I die and throw myself off. The control is probably, like, the biggest part of his kit, in my mind, because it's actually pretty easy to land. It has a pretty huge radius, and it launches everybody up for a few seconds. It's like a second stun on everybody. It's pretty good, and it does give Hammond a niche outside compared to D.Va, which is his primary competition. I think right now D.Va is just a little bit too good at just blowing up a single target super quick. D.Va is just a little bit too good at that, and hunting down and finding specific targets. I do think that Hammond has a niche in that he will be good against a kind of deathball-y comp, and just like fragmenting that and setting up a sort of a bunch of kills for like a Genji dive, for example. Like when people get used to it, a dive with Hammond and Genji will actually be pretty potent. Like if you get good at sort of landing this, apparently I'm not. Let's try this again. 2, 1. Okay, I've got to wait now. For God's sake, it's got a long cooldown on it for a reason. And up. Oh, for God's sake, it's also apparently a little bit finicky on what it wants to land on. But if you get good at like the launch up, then that crowd control is probably going to be enough for you to get a kill as Genji onto something, or as Tracer. Like the damage isn't great, it's like 50, but it's going to be enough for you to set up a kill, basically. And so it could work as sort of a method for a dive to get some results. The downside to this is that you don't have a D.Va. And you don't have the tankiness that a D.Va will bring to your backline. So the advantage that a D.Va brings to your backline is that while your dive goes in, you just stand on your backline and do this. And you can protect stuff. Beth said you look like Hammond. Wow. Wow. Actually, I'll take that. Kind of. I don't think I'm that fat, to be honest. I'm not this round either. I don't roll this well, to be honest, overall. But yeah, like, I think it's very difficult for him to outshine D.Va at the moment. Do you think... Okay. Do you think that PTR Sombra looks strong if introduced with Hammond into the game, with Sim being in consideration? I think that it is a lot going on at the moment. Like, they had this problem with, like, Brigitte and Hanzo. Like, people were complaining a lot about Brigitte ruining the game, and it's like, no, it's this fucker. This fucker ruins the game completely. He's just... This shit is just the worst thing to ever hit Overwatch, right? Get rid of that shit. It's just terrible. Right? That is the problem. Okay? It's not... Brigitte's fine. Brigitte's kind of niche. Like, she actually has some limited functionality. She's not incredible in all instances. She's annoying, yes, but it's like... She's low skill, yes. She's frustrating and can be a pain in the ass to play against, but she's not as bad as Hanzo. Solve Hanzo first. Jesus. And the issue that they could face is, yes, they're introducing new Symmetra, and Hammond's going to take a while. Like, Hammond's probably going to be a month away. I'd be surprised if Hammond is ever seen in Season 11. So they have all of Season 11 to figure out Symmetra, and then they can go into Season 12, and that's when Hammond can come in and start changing things up. So that's okay. Whether or not they bring Sombra's changes in at the same time, that could be an issue. So Sombra and Hammond coming in, again, could be kind of a big deal. Sombra's changes aren't quite as extreme, though, and I still think Sombra will be a relatively niche pick and probably not seen a huge amount. Whoop. Is a 2-shield tank setup ever optimal? It's very rare. Like, Winston Reinhardt can work, but like, you got to ask yourself, what is the Winston doing, and can a Zarya do it better, or can a D.Va do it better? Right, so if they are playing, for example, Widowmaker Tracer, you could make an argument for this team comp, but D.Va would do just as well. You know, D.Va will probably do better at dealing with that kind of stuff than the Winston. The Winston would just get torn to shreds by the Tracer, so would the Reinhardt. So it's a matter of just like understanding why you're picking what you're picking, and what main threats you're dealing with. Reinhardt will be very good at blocking just on like unidirectional damage. Winston's much better at threatening out and taking space from people. And then D.Va, Zarya, and Hog occupy slightly different roles in what they're doing. But it's very rare that, like, Orisa Reinhardt is just, like, too passive, for example. You lose the downside of playing Rein. And, like, this is, again, if you are playing Rein Orisa, it's not terrible. It's terrible in that if you're in a Grandmaster game, yes, this probably is not going to work. But you could make it work in gold, in plat, whatever. This should work fine. It's just understanding that if you are going up against like Rein Zarya, they have a better ult combo than you. So this has just got like a very dangerous ult combo because Graviton Surge is better than Bongo by a huge stretch. They are more mobile than you. They will do more damage than you, especially to non-tank targets, because Zarya is better at shooting non-tanks than Orisa will ever be. So it's just realizing, okay, well, this has limitations. This is good for fighting a very tanky comp, but this is probably better at fighting a more generalized comp. And that's sort of why. How good an idea is it to charge the Orisa Bong in order to not be out of position? It can work. You're just a little bit screwed if they shoot it. It depends on the distance. If you're like very short range and you charge in, the danger with charging an Orisa Bongo is you are charging into a Bongo. And so their team is doing more damage. Right? So you are dropping your barrier to take more damage. Fire striking it's probably better. Overall, like Fire Strike it, just hit it once through the barrier and put your barrier up and then back away is fine, because Orisa will melt you. So if you see Orisa drop a Bongo and your reaction is, okay, well, I'm going to charge a huge D and try and charge it, you're going to get shot to shit by the time you reach here, you know? So I would just say in general, Fire Strike it, melee it, don't charge it. It's not the greatest idea, usually. Should Hammond eject from his mech as a 5 hit point hero and the mech blows up? Yes. It should be a 50 hit point hero. And you should crawl around and be able to like scuttle through vents and ceilings and like attach to ceilings. And then when you're playing, say, Mercy and you come out of spawn, I don't know why I always go to Mercy for this one. I think it just works. You come out of spawn, a hamster dislodges from the ceiling, jumps in your face and gnaws it off, and then you die. And then like you and Hammond both die and respawn. That's how it should work. When will they give Zenyatta lore? Never. When do they ever give lore to anybody? It's Overwatch. With Winston struggling at the moment, should you still swap off Ryan on points like second point Hollywood? Yes. General rule of thumb, yes. It depends on what they're playing. If they're playing on the low ground and they have Roadhog, McCree, and they're just all sat on the low ground, you can stay Reinhardt. If they're playing like Widowmaker and Genji on the high ground, yeah, you need to go Winston. You need to be able to like jump up. And people say like, oh, Winston's really struggling right now. Winston's really struggling right now. Winston's struggling right now because Brigitte is a thing in the game. So if they're playing a Brigitte comp, you know, they're probably not playing high ground. But Brigitte's kind of shit on second point Hollywood, right? You play Pharah Widow and you just win. Okay, this is why all the pro teams at the moment are playing Pharah Widow, because you have high ground control. They cannot play Brigitte into it super easily. On any map where you have vertical spacing, you can just take control of the high ground and just gun down their team entirely. So Pharah Widow is like the DPS comp that's floating around 90% of the time at the moment. The reason why you play Winston is to deal with stuff like the Widowmaker, right? It's to deal with stuff like that. You go in and you take space and you pressure the Widow out. You wouldn't do the jump like that either. You would do the jump properly. You do the jump like this, and you'd fuck it up because, hey, because I'm not a Winston player, so I'm allowed to fuck it up. You are not. You would jump, and then you try and get your head hitbox out of the way, and you would pressure the Widowmaker out, and you contest her. You wouldn't even try and kill her half the time. You just pressure her away, make sure that she's contested. Your Widowmaker can then take space, and you go and kill people. This is why you play Winston. In most cases, you will be playing Reinhardt. The big part of the reason why as well is that Rein's area is so potent, and Hanzo is just a no-brainer. You can just Dragon Strike into it with a damage boost on you and you'll win. Lol. No counter. Blizzard needed to fix that fucking ages ago, but why they haven't, I don't know. So yeah. That's fun. As I miss training bots. For God's sake, don't get me started. Ugh. If you suck at Winston, then, you know, try and get better at Winston, but now's probably not the time to learn. But let me put it this way. If you're moving through on Second Point Hollywood and they have Hanzo and Pharah on the high ground shooting down at you and you move forward and then you just die, why are you playing Reinhardt? You know, that's sort of the big question. If Ryan Central's an ice cream, what flavor would he be? A good caramel. A smooth caramel. She was joking. She's mean. She's mean, your girlfriend. Harsh. Wrecking Ball dive. Wrecking Ball dive and Pharah dive bomb ult. Wrecking Ball dive ball and Pharah dive bomb ult. No. It's not a stun. So it's just a knock-up. So if you try and Pharah ult, A, you'll launch someone up to collide with the Pharah, and then she'll kill herself on her own barrage. And second, if they have a D.Va, she just looks at you and goes, Duke. If they have a Zarya, she just goes like this, and she's fine. It's not a stun, it's a knock-up. Yeah, I wish I was the Cox. The COX. So what do you think of the changes, my guy? Need specifics. New mouse. I've been meaning to get a new mouse to complement my left-handedness, so I've got a Zarya ambidextrous mouse. Now to feed the season. Oh, congratulations. I imagine if you're playing with a right-handed mouse before and you're left-handed, that's horrible. What do you think will make Hanzo playable but fair? Deleting him from the game. No, my issues with Hanzo are long documented to the degree that people are fed up of hearing me complain about it. I think that Hanzo will never feel satisfactory to me. The issue I have with Hanzo is every single time I get killed by a Hanzo arrow, I roll my eyes. Because I have no way of knowing whether or not the Hanzo actually aimed that shot properly, or whether he got lucky. There is no good guarantee that the Hanzo actually aimed his shot, or if I walked into it. And so it never feels good to me losing to a Hanzo, because you will have duels against Hanzos where they're just doing this for hours, and missing and missing and missing as you juke, and then eventually they'll land a headshot and you'll just die. Or you'll turn the corner and you'll just die, and they'll just get you in one hit, and then they go, just as planned, and it's like, fuck off. So yeah, it never feels good to me. Never feels good to me losing to a Hanzo. And this shit is just, it's an answer to the problem of, well, a Hanzo duel on a one-on-one at, like, let's say 30 meters often looks like just two morons firing arrows at walls, right? This is what it looks like when you're fighting Hanzo against Hanzo at this sort of distance. It oftentimes looks a lot like this. The solution isn't to then press E and fire off 6 arrows that you can nearly not miss. You know, you have to hit 2 of them, and that's all you need to hit. That isn't a solution. That's just a no-brainer. So it's just not fun. Things I think they need to fix. They need to nerf the damage on the dragon. Definitely nerf its charge rate as well. And probably either if you're gonna have Storm Arrow be this powerful, have it be a 15 fucking second cooldown. You know, you can't have an ability this strong be this low cooldown. It would be as if Flash Fan was on a 5-second cooldown. It's insane. It's utterly insane. It's disgusting. So you asked, I answered. I would like to see Hanzo completely fucking redesigned. He needs to, just to finish the thought on Hanzo, he needs to not be about direct combat. Hanzo, because of his kit, cannot really be reliable in a one-on-one situation like most DPS, so he needs to be smarter than the enemy to make him work. I think this also suits his lore better than being a direct duelist. He is from a fucking mafia clan with assassination origins. He should not be about direct combat. He should be about setting up sneaky angles. This is what I liked about Scatter Arrow, because it rewarded you for coming in from weird angles, from high angles as well, and let you do things like, if you're above the enemy, well, you come in down, you scatter, you get a kill. And people are like, oh, well, you shot near me and you killed me. That's Hanzo in a nutshell. It's much better than this shit, which is just, if you're engaged in a duel against Hanzo, he will probably win because he has his bullshit ability that lets him win every fight. That shit is not, like, that's not kosher. So what you should be looking to do is instead have him be cleverer. I am fine, for example, I was very happy to see the reduction in Sonic Arrow's cooldown. I think Sonic Arrow is a really cool ability. And I think the reducing its cooldown, reducing its duration was really fun and really good. So yeah. I don't think that, like, with Hanzo's current kit, because you cannot reliably take fights at mid-range, he should not be about taking fights at mid-range. And this ability makes him good at close range, mid-range, and long range. He can spam and hold chokes. He can engage close range because this ability has no real downsides. So you just spam it into people's bodies. You hit 3 arrows, you win a fight. It's not fun. It's not interesting. It's overpowered and it's boring. So yeah. What do you think about Overwatch's All-Star players? But still, it's no surprise. Like, I don't really have many thoughts on it. Popular players got in, and some of the highest skill players got in as well. No great shock. Do you think remodeling the training area will be a good idea? Yes. I would like to see some barriers. Oh. For God's sake. For God's sake. What the There we go. I would like to see some barriers. I would like to see some... Chat got big now. Leaks. There we are. Yeah, I'd like to see some barriers. I'd like to see some random movement. I would like to see all sorts of different things. Like, I know Blizzard want to go back and make this better. So, yeah. Just have his arrows not one-shot, even on headshot. Yeah, you could actually make that work. If you make him shoot faster, then having that work, that's fine. A lot of Sombra players, me included, feel like the nerfs of speed and the fact that people can kill a Translocator are not worth in the Niners, which don't really help it that much. How do you feel about this? If people are killing the Translocator, like people have kind of rightly said that killing the Translocator isn't actually a good idea. Like, if you know what the Translocator is, then you camp the Translocator. You don't kill it most of the time anyway. So killing the Translocator, I think, is just a kind of minor and niche thing, where if they found it, you've already kind of fucked up as Sombra. The speed nerf, I would argue that getting in is now easier because you can infinitely just like translocate and take your time. There's no urgency in like moving, so you can get to places you need to be easier. And speed was like, stealth was never a good escape anyway, because of the fact that the stealth could be broken so easily. The speed boost it gave was just like, you would try and stealth to get out of a fight, well then they would just hit you with anything. D would just like flick across and you would be de-stealthed instantaneously, and then there you go. It'll take some getting used to, but I don't think the speed was like a huge factor with Sombra. You can't kill the Translocator when it's in the air, so you can still use it to get out of fights. Yeah. Having a permanent Translocator, I think, just gives you a lot of ideal situations to play around with, basically. I think give it time. I think it's just, it feels different and it feels weird, so that's why it's kind of odd. But if you kill it yourself as well, like, you have pretty limited cooldowns on it. I think it just, the reason why it probably feels like a nerf as well is it feels worse compared to live. Like, and when I say it feels worse, let me complete that thought. When you go into stealth on live and you press shift, you get this huge burst of speed, and it feels really good. It feels like super nice. But is it still, like, you can still get to where you need to be way ahead of time with the perma-stealth, and there's no urgency in doing so. The increased detection radius is a slight problem, but I've noticed that people are really shit at noticing that a Sombra has got within detection range anyway, so it's not the biggest deal. Yeah, I'd give it time. I think that it's kind of true with any change that people will just go, oh, it's bad, unless it's like an increase on an already existing ability. These changes are pretty dramatic. My biggest issue with this is that it is emphasizing a part of a kit that I think is not ever going to be as useful as just killing people. It makes it easier for you to play like very hacky and get the hack set up properly and get set up in a position where you can get the hack and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, you need to be able to kill people, and Sombra doesn't kill people. Like 1 versus 1, you need to get the hack off to have any kind of advantage, and that's tough. No matter what the case. So it's like, even when hacked, a lot of DPS just outright beat you. So yeah, it's kind of a rough situation. I would just like to see her damage better. I wouldn't mind seeing her ammo clip decreased and damage output increased overall. Like, that would just feel better to me. Do you think barrier should block EMP hack but at the cost of removing the barrier? No. That would feel really bad. It would make it feel really awkward when you're trying to get an EMP going. Possible Wrecking Ball strat. Knock up Reinhardt, shadow the people behind him. The danger with that is that you knock up the Rein and you knock up everybody else, and then Reinhardt earth shadows, and then everyone just lands and goes, oh, lol. Shadow doesn't work on us because we're in the air. Could you reiterate your... Yeah, I know. I think the air dash on Hanzo is fine. What are your thoughts about that? I think that's fine. I think the air dash is really cool. I like it. Do you need another main tank and another AoE healer support as well? What's your opinion? Need is a strong word. I would like another main tank, and I would like other support. I think just having more heroes would be more fun. But need? I think Hanzo Grand Brass Fire, the Exploding Arrow. Exploding Arrow would be cool. Again, I would like to see, like, the change I would make to Hanzo instantaneously would be if you... Like, they seem more willing as well. Wrecking Ball marks a change in how abilities work, because before they were very hesitant on having stuff like having 4 abilities in the game. Right? But now you have this control ability coming in. Because he can't crouch, so you might as well have control do something. Giving Hanzo, like, changing how he works, because you got to remember, like, you can't just say, oh, well, we'll add another key and have T do something new. Because you got to keep in mind that consoles have a limited number of buttons, so we are limited by consoles. So we can't have a hero with 9 billion abilities. What you could have is, instead of you press shift, and you notice that the arrow just changes when you press shift. What happens if you held shift and you had a wheel showing, like this one, showing, okay, we have 4 arrows, and you have Sonic, Explosive, Net, and Proximity, right? And you have these 4 arrows that you can use. And so you can fire off a Sonic arrow, and then you use your fancy wheel, like this one, and you go, okay, well now I need my net arrow. And then you shoot your net arrow, and it hits the Reinhardt, and then the Reinhardt can't move for a second. Or something like that. And then you hit your proximity arrow, and it leaves an arrow on the wall that will explode and deal 50 damage to someone if they move through that area. Stuff like that. Stuff like that would be nice. Have R swap through? Yeah. Like, the reload button doesn't do anything. Do you think we'll ever get a playback system like Overwatch League? I wish, like, I know when I spoke to the devs a while ago, they, like, when they first were introducing the spectator system with the World Cup, they were saying a lot, yeah, we want to get this in people's hands, but that was almost a year ago now. I think Blizzard want to, it's just, there's no, at the moment, Blizzard like it, when they release something to the public, it has a very easy interface, and it doesn't have an easy interface, and so people can't use it. So yeah. That's why. We'll finish up now, by the way, it's 1 AM, so hey. You say you need to remember console, Tim tell you need an interact button because console players don't have a spare one for it. Yeah. I imagine they can do it because otherwise they wouldn't, so yeah. We call it Sombra a different kind of hacks. I think that's overcomplicating it for Sombra. Like, just, the hack is good enough at the moment. The hack is really powerful right now. If Sombra EMP or Ana Grenade got rid of corroded armor, would that help make it a tool, more of a niche for those characters? It would be a bit weird, I think. And what I don't like, and I think Blizzard are kind of wary of this, like, people complain that hard counters are a thing in Overwatch, but they kind of aren't. People have thought this way for a while, and I've always kind of disagreed with it. That, for example, Widowmaker is a hard counter to Pharah. Kind of not true. To the point where I remember in one of the Team UK trials, people were joking, oh, well, Valkyrie would say that Pharah is a counter to Widow. Widowmaker is a Pharah counter, but a presence of a Widowmaker does not completely eliminate a Pharah. Now, a presence of a Widowmaker in Assault 76, that's a different matter entirely. That's 2 people that can now deal with the Pharah. That puts a huge amount of pressure on the Pharah. But having one hero hard counter another hero is actually somewhat rare. You can sometimes play around it and stuff like that. So if you start introducing abilities that specifically, and this is why, like, I'm always wary of, like, how EMP works, for example. Because if the enemy team has no shields, well, EMP is kind of shit. Luckily, Zenyatta's mandatory, so hey, lol. But having it specifically like, oh, well, if they have a lot of armor, you want to run Anna because she corrodes armor, well, then that's a bit weird. And that's when you start really starting to lean into these hard counters. These rock, paper, scissors situations where, you know, rock beats paper, paper beats... where scissors beat paper, paper beats rock, rock beats scissors, right? You don't want it where Anna beats armor, so you swap to shields, and then shields beats Anna. It's... as a situation. So, yeah. The hard counter problem goes away over time as more heroes get released. I'd say it also comes in more and more because more heroes get more niche specific, but you also have just a lot of tools to deal with stuff. So, like, if they have a good Pharah, then at the moment you have sort of McCree, and especially with the buff coming to McCree, like, McCree will be better against Pharah, Soldier will be better against Pharah, Widowmaker will remain good against Pharah, for example. So you have options available to you, and Pharah can kind of fight herself, but it's not great. Right, anyway. I shall now relax because stream is going to be over. Thank you for watching to the end. If you want to submit footage for coaching, please do. Placements are coming up. It is a good time. Send me in some footage and record it for Season 11. If you want your footage review, send it into Coaching the Medi. Send it into oamreviews@gmail.com. Include the hero name and the rank in the title. If it's a placement game, please include the rank you either finished placements at or the rank that you were at the end of last season, just as an idea of where it's at. You could also send in the footage to say, play Guess the Rank. We can do that next time. Do you mind if I send in a Rhine VOD? We've had 2 Rhine footage things very recently. I'd rather you didn't, is what I would say, because we did 2 Reinhardts very recently. But yeah. Otherwise, yeah, included a description and a YouTube link, so, you know, what you felt in the game. Maybe you don't understand why you lost. Maybe you felt that you were doing something really well, but something wasn't going right. Stuff like that. And if you're a Twitch sub, mention that as well, because Twitch subs have slightly higher prio. Thank you for watching to the end. I have been Josh, one voice amongst many, and I will see you next time. And I'll also outro the stream straight away. Thanks for watching, guys. Thank you for the support as well. Those of you who did, Hollow Knight was a blast, as always. Thank you, Magic Master, Rockleo, Mercs444, Anvil, Steal Your Mind, Green TG with 250 bits, Clanok earlier on today, Yasushi with a 1-viewer host, so he's on the list anyway. Thank you, Yasushi. Builder of Salt, Artarak, and that is everyone for today. Thank you so much, guys. And yeah, rip Overwatch gameplay streams. Yeah, I'll be doing placements. Ryan, do you want to do some placements tomorrow? You'll still be featured tomorrow, won't you? So, yeah, if you want to do some placements tomorrow, I'll probably be playing on Talon. We can use LFG. It'll be grand. Stuff like that. Sound good? Sound good. Because there's nothing to probe. What time? I can either do it from... Like, I'll be streaming at 7. This is now, like, an awkward thing where it's me and Ryan having a conversation. I'll be doing it I'll start streaming at 7. I'll either be playing Hollow Knight, or we can just go straight into placements. If you want to play then that's fine. Or we can do it at 10 as normal. It's up to you, though. I leave it in your hands. Like, when you're streaming. Because I know you are currently... Look at this. Look at this handsome boy. Look at this handsome... It's actually a really good picture of you, by the way, Ryan. My compliments, sir. Look at the guns. Look at this. Look at the guns and then look at the literal gun. Yeah, this is a really good picture. Did you beat the arena? No, I didn't. Yeah, join me and Miska. Yeah, sure. I'll be playing... Actually, I might not be able to join Miska. We'll see. We'll see... Anyway, we'll see how it goes. It's going to be weird, because my account decayed, and Talon's quite low, but we'll see anyway. I'm sure we'll figure it out. Getting a Smurf and Wheel 6-stack. Lol. Sounds good. As long as I can play DPS, Kappa. Lol. Right, yep. Need a Resident Widow. Done. Sold. Fucking done. Instantly. Easy. Easy peasy. It'll actually be fun to 6-stack now. It's actually, Jesus Christ, mind blown. Yeah, we can actually just 6-stack. Like, because there will be 6-stacks. It'll just be fun. My God. Unbelievable. Right, I'll see you next time anyway. Thanks for watching. Toodles. Outro. Go. Go. Boom. 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 Music. Go. What? No. Oh. Shocking.